I get the progressive thing is to be like equality, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It works for friendships, but it doesn't work for relationships. There is no equality. You're different.
But I think in this specific area, on top of the masculine and feminine, it's respect. That woman does not respect that man, but he respects himself enough to walk away. I think people are messing themselves up too with a lot of this, that they think they have a good marriage or a good romantic relationship as long as they're friends.
Yeah.
And friendship is important in a relationship, but if that's all you have, it's not a romantic relationship. Even if you're married.
Yeah.
If you've just gotten to the point where you're friends and you occasionally maybe do something with each other, that's not a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
Like it involves so much more than just friendship. Because to be honest, and I bring this up because maybe these people on Love is Blind can be friends.
Yeah.
But a lot of the couples don't have the romantic part. They don't take each other into consideration. Like the couple, Garrett and what's her name?
I don't know the name.
Garrett and Taylor, maybe?
I thought
they're so
H.
similar. They're the ones that are so similar.
Hannah.
No, that's Hannah and Nikki D.
I know who you're talking
I'm talking about the two that are like scientists, like physicists, and the other one. Like they come off as friends to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing the romantic part.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of couples are like that.
Right.
And sure, they could live together and they could probably learn to coexist like a lot of couples do.
Right.
But you're missing the romantic part. And I mentioned that because like Alex and Tim, right? The couple we're initially talking about. If you really love this man, you don't care if he wears the stupidest hat in the world.
Yeah.
If that makes him happy, you care about him being happy.
Right.
Like, or if he keeps saying dog or whatever, like, sure. Even if that's like, okay, he keeps saying it and you're a little like flustered by it. Like, you love him so much that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And like, people think though that if they care about somebody or they have a relationship, like a friendship, right? That is the foundation. Like, but they lost the other part, that they're in the best relationship ever. Like, getting married and being in a romantic relationship is more than just friendship. I'm not saying that friendship is not important. It is, because it is another level to your relationship that will make it a deeper connection and deeper intimacy, even like with the friendship. But if that's all you have, you're missing the romantic part that also helps with all of these other things, right?
And how do you get the romantic part? What's the essential to have it?
Don't read smut novels.
No. You have to have the polarity. You have to have the masculine and feminine. That's why if you don't have that, you're going to be friends, right? That's why, like, at first it might start off as very sexually ignited, but it will fizzle out without the polarity. You have to have that. That's why in fact, in the situation that you described, there's not really a masculine, feminine. They're kind of just like, I get the progressive thing is to be like equality, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It works for friendships, but it doesn't work for relationships. There is no equality.
It's just
you're different.
Very monotoned.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're like the same and you just do the same things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at the other couple, Ramses and Marissa. They're like on an equality based thing, right? And the last we saw is they're arguing over something, and something that she can't change and that he doesn't like. And so, and I think even obviously like the masculine and the feminine is our big thing here on the podcast. But I think in this specific area, on top of the masculine and feminine, it's respect. Like that woman does not respect that man, but he respects himself enough to walk away. And so like he's losing respect for her, right? Because she's disrespecting him. It's like this whole thing. But respect is the key. Yeah. Because also if she respected him, she wouldn't pick on him so much.
Right. Right.
Like, even if she doesn't agree, she wouldn't pick on him.
So what should a man do? Maybe we should talk about that, right?
If he's in that situation?
Yeah, when a man...
I mean, exactly what Tim did, right? Be like, I think he gave her ample amount of time for her to turn it around. Like I said, he was not... The things that she was saying that most people would be like, hey, that's not okay.
Yeah.
He, gave her, I think, the benefit of the doubt and like joked it off.
Yeah.
But then when she crossed the line, she crossed the line. And granted, maybe instead of blowing it off that many times, he should have been like, hey, you're kind of like bordering on this is disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like he maybe should have gave her a little bit of a warning because maybe she didn't take it seriously because he was kind of laughing it off.
Yeah.
But I think he did the exact right thing that men should do. And honestly, if you're a man and you would never even watch that show, you should at least watch that episode. I can't remember which one it is. Maybe 5 or 6.
He demonstrated masculinity pretty well.
Yeah, he handled it very well. And to be honest, like even a woman, if she's disrespected by the man that she's with, or to like some degree, she needs to be like, look, like this is my boundary, which you have to tell them the boundary before they cross it, which that guy did. Yeah. Tim did say, hey, I'm not easy to anger, but if you anger me, that's a big problem because I'm very, calm, cool, and collected. So if I reach this level, we have a bigger problem.
Right.
So he laid it out there, and you do have to lay out your boundary. You can't just be like, oh, well, you crossed my boundary, and the person be like, you never said anything. You'd be like, oh, well, you know.
It's best not to say the word boundary when you lay out a boundary. It's just best to just say
he
what
didn't
the thing
say
is.
that.
No, he
just
didn't.
Said,
I'm just saying in general, because sometimes people are like, this is my boundary. And it's like, now it sounds manipulative.
Well, you have to know what an actual boundary is, right? And it has to be extreme enough. Well, like you said, I mean, people can make up dumb ones if they really want.
Yeah.
But most people have legitimate ones where it's like, if you disrespect me or like if it gets to this level, I'm going to walk away from this situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you have to explain it. You don't have to be like, this is a boundary. You could be just like I said, if you are disrespectful towards me, then we will not continue the conversation. And then you have to walk away.
Yeah,
like you have to uphold it.
Exactly.
But I think he handled it very well. And again, even in the discussion with her, he was respectful. He stood on his boundary. He stood on the respect for himself.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think we did a pretty good job of explaining how to have respect for yourself and how to do that in the proper way, that you don't have to be overbearing or like try to act controlling or powerful. You just say, hey, like this happened.
Yeah.
And I don't tolerate that behavior. So we will not be continuing to be together. And then the person is free to make their choice, but you can't also, as a woman, try to like influence his decision or vice versa. Like you have to actually stand on that.
And I would say, because I thought about this a little bit too, that Tim, right, what was his name?
Yeah.
So in some ways, well, okay, so it depends on where you are in an interaction with a woman on how you respond, right? And so I think Tim's reactions, right, to her, those were the proper reactions for someone that you're not in a very
deep relationship.
Yeah, where you're just like, you just met someone, you're on a first date, you're at a bar, whatever it is, it's, because it doesn't matter. Like, you can say something to me.
Right.
I don't care. Like, you're going to insult me, whatever, you're going to act like a bitch. You can act like a bitch. That's like, it doesn't matter to me, right? It's like, I'm like, you can try and tell me something, but I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not reacting to it. I'm not getting upset by that, right? Mm-hmm. But I think perhaps the mistake that he made, which it's a really weird thing because
they're
of the
circumstance. Yeah,
they're like fiancés, right? And they just barely met, right?
Yeah.
And I think he kind of saw this, and that's why. But it didn't matter because at the end it ended up resulting in the same. But if you're a man in a relationship, if there's any kind of relationship, and the more deeper it is, then when that stuff happens, you can't just let it slide. You don't want to react and get upset, and you don't want to lose your cool or to be fazed by it where it's like affects you and you're being emotional about it. But you want to address it right then and there so that it stops immediately. Because in his approach, it's interesting because his approach was one where he was just playing it super cool, right? It didn't matter. Like there is no indication that some of the stuff that she said affected him at all. And he wasn't being a pushover either. He wasn't just like taking it. He was just so cool that he was like, it doesn't matter, right? Who are you, right? So, but what happened was that she may have gotten the impression that she could just keep on doing it,
pushing him,
right? Because he was trying to be like, give her a lot of grace, a lot of slack, a little feeling out period. Let her see that he's, because maybe he's thinking, all right, well, I'm responding to these shit tests, it's fine. Like when after she's done this 5 or 6 times, she'll realize she's not going to push me around. I'm not going to move, right? I'm not going to react to this, right? But then she kept going, right? And so that's where I think in a relationship, you're already in a situation where you're supposed to be together, where now you have to address it as a man and say, hold up, what did you just say to me? Yeah, I don't like that. That's not cool. Like, did you misspeak? Did you want to phrase that a different way or something? Like, okay. Or, I don't like that. Right. So that it's really clear what the boundary is and that you're not letting this stuff pile up. But I mean, at the end of the day, right, he probably didn't care because he's like, I'm just going to let her do whatever she's going to do. It's not going to affect me. And at the end of the day, I'm going to make a decision whether I want to be here or not. Right. So it's like, I don't have a horse in this game because if she wants to act this way, I'm just going to let her act however she's going to act. And then, so that's where I think it depends on the stakes. But if you're already in a relationship, you don't want to act like that as a man because you've got to correct the things that need to be correct because you are supposed to be leading and guiding. And if you don't provide that guidance, you just have a consequence.
A good example.
Yeah, then it's not going to help. So.
I was going to say...